bell ringer. All right, so we have 8 responses, and today's bell ringer says, which of the following does not describe what could occur at a divergent plate boundary? Okay, and so our answers includes A, a mid-ocean ridge, B, plates moving away from each other, C, seafloor spreading, D, plates are moving towards one another. All right, so again, the question says, which of the following does not describe what could occur during a divergent plate? So we looking for things that would not occur, right? So we have D, plates moving toward one another. D, a mid-ocean ridge forming. D, plates moving towards each other. D, and then seafloor spreading. All right. The correct answer is going to be plates moving towards one another, and it's not going to be plates moving towards one another because plates moving towards one another is a example of a convergent plate. Okay, so it's not going to be plates moving towards each other again because plates moving towards each other is a convergent plate boundary. All right, that's that. Any questions? All right, so let's go ahead and let's go to last night's homework. That's what I'm gonna start with. So even if you did not do your homework, I still want you to open your file. I had one person to turn theirs in, but again, I still want you to open it, and I want you to open it because as we go over this, I want you guys to be typing in the correct answer. Even if you guys did not submit it, please type in or make sure that your answers are correct because we do have a major test on Thursday. We have a major test on Thursday. Yes, sir. All right. So here we go. The first question says, "What are tectonic plates made of?" What are tectonic plates made of? Tectonic plates are made of the lithosphere. So I'm going to go here and type in that they are made up of the lithosphere. Hmm. Yes. I'll give you guys a moment to copy that down. Number two, the question asks, what is the lithosphere made of? The lithosphere is made up of the upper mantle and crust. Everybody again should be either one, copy this down in their notebook if they do not have Cami, or two, if they do have Cami, they should be typing this information on their study guide. Okay. Question three said, what causes the lithosphere to move? So what causes the lithosphere to move? Um, so let me type it this way. The lithosphere moves because of the convection currents in the mantle. Convection currents. All right, so number four, hopefully you guys have already copied the answers to one and two. Number four, plates of lithosphere are moved around by the underlying hot convection currents in the mantle. We're not going to worry about answers five and six. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit because your homework for last night was 1 through 10. So I'm not gonna worry about 5 and 6. I may make it a little bit smaller. That way, for those people who still need to copy, you'll still be able to see the other stuff. All right. So again, 5 and 6, we're not answering. Number 7, X, name the three types of plate boundaries. The three types of plate boundaries are transform boundary, divergent boundary, and convergent. Those are the three types of boundaries. Again, the three types of boundaries are convergent boundary, divergent boundary, and transform boundary. These are the three types of boundaries. All right. So has everybody typed 1 through 4? Okay. Ashton, what number are you on, baby? 3. All right. So let me move up. I'm just gonna move it up a little bit more. All right. And so steady moving. Hopefully you guys are again still typing. The next one says 8. Describe what occurs in a divergent boundary. Describe what occurs in a divergent boundary. So in a divergent boundary, um, the plates move away from one another. That is what happened when we have a divergent boundary. The plates move away from each other. Ashton, can I go up to 4? Okay. All right. Number 9 says divergent boundaries are also known as spreading ridges. right, so then we're going to go to our last one, and it says describe what occurs at a convergent boundary. So when we have convergent boundaries, these plates move towards one another. So with the convergent boundary, these plates move towards each other. Convergent boundaries move toward one another. All right, in 2 minutes, we're going to go to something else. If you're done with 1 through 10 or you've done with copying, you may go ahead and start looking at 11 through 20 because tonight's homework will be 11 through 20. Because again, tonight's homework will be 11 through 20. Today's date is the 13th. So again, in 2 minutes, we will be moving on. In order for you to find these remaining, you guys can look in your notes. You guys can look in your notes. Again, in about a minute or less, we're going to be looking at keep it on your desk, Ashton. We're going to be looking at something else. So again, while you all wait, you guys can go ahead and be looking at numbers 11 through 20 because 11 through 20 will be for homework. All right. So we're going to move on to the next thing. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back to the foldable. The foldable was on Friday of last week. So we're going to go back to the foldable. I'm going to come out of this. Gonna leave here. And I'm going to Friday of last week so we can talk about the foldable. So please go to Friday of last week. And it's called Plate Boundary Graphic Organizer. We're gonna go over that. That's gonna be the next thing we're gonna go over. Okay. With us going over this, I want you guys to open it. I want you guys to complete it. We're gonna complete it together. So, with this, we had a graphic organizer, and on this graphic organizer, you guys were supposed to list the crust with arrows showing a direction of movement and its effects. So the first one we have is divergent, continental, continental. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the type of crust. So because they're telling me that it's divergent and continental, continental, this side over here is going to be continental, and I want you to type that down on your papers or on yours. This side over here is going to be continental. I'm assuming some of you guys already have this complete. Um, so again, please type this down if you haven't. Again, these are all of the ways to help us to get ready to review for our test that is on Thursday. Right, we're gonna write that as well. But I just want to make sure that that crust is labeled. Okay, so because it is a divergent boundary, Miss Stanley is not good at drawing, but we're going to make those arrows go in different directions. And remember, continental is land. So you have two pieces of land that are separating from each other. So you have two pieces of land that's separating from each other. So where it says description, I am going to type in the plates will move away from each other. So, an example of this, which we should have learned an example on yesterday when we had that reading activity about plate movement. An example of a continental, two pieces of land going away from each other is going to be a rift valley. It's going to be a rift valley. So that's going to be an example. And then we're going to do the same thing like we did on the last one. This is divergent. And because it's divergent, again, the arrows are going to go away from each other. The only difference is the first example was divergent continental. This is an example of divergent oceanic. All right. So these two pieces of crust are going to be oceanic. So I'm going to type that down. Draw my arrows. Again, Miss Stanley, arrows are not pretty, but you get the gist that my arrows are going away from each other. Yes, that's the type of crest this time because this is the type of crest this time because they're telling us that again, this is a divergent plate, but it's two pieces of oceanic crust. This is a divergent plate, but it's two pieces of continental crust. Okay, so different things are going to happen. So with this one, you're going to have um so with this particular one, the plates are going to still move away from each other. The plates are moving away from each other. Okay. Also, there is new crust forming. New crust is being formed. Okay. And then also with this part, you got to remember this is the part where the magma is rising through the gap. So the magma is rising through the gaps. Now, when we talk about an example for this one is going to be a mid ocean ridge. That is going to be an example. Seafloor spreading, we can put that as an example because seafloor spreading does definitely occurs during divergent boundaries. Okay, next we're going to talk about a different boundary. Now, with this one, we're talking about a convergent boundary. And so, with this one, we have a convergent ocean to continent. We have a ocean. So with this one again, we have convergent and we have oceanic and we have continental. It's going to be important for us to put the correct labeling, all right? So because this to me looks like a little wave, I'm going to label that side as oceanic. And then the other side, I am going to label continental. Next, we're gonna put the direction. All right, so we got to put the direction with these this particular boundary. So it's convergent, and so because it is convergent, we need to make our lines come together or come towards each other. It's not pretty, but you get the gist. All right, and then as a description for this particular one, I am going to put that the plates move toward each other. Also, the subduction occurs, and subduction occurs because the oceanic crust sinks under the continental. Okay, so examples. Um we can put subduction. We can put volcanoes. We can put trenches. Okay, so need to spell it correctly. So these are examples of things that form and happen as a result of oceanic crust hitting or oceanic crust and a continental crust colliding with each other. These are things that happen as a result of that. Okay. Now, the next one, we have a picture, and we're still dealing with convergent boundaries. We have a convergent boundary, but it is continental, continental. So we have two pieces of continental crust, which are also known as the land crust. So we're going to come here and we're going to put continental here. We're going to label it. I'm going to put continental here too. All right. And then we're going to do our arrows. All right. And so, again, because we're still dealing with that convergent boundary, we're going to have our plates coming towards one another. All right. Our description, the plates move towards one another. All right, they form. Some examples of this are going to be mountains. Now, if you want to put some specific mountains, it's going to be mountains. But if you want to put some specific mountains, you could put example Appalachian mountains. All right, so we're just gonna put mountains. I do not want to misspell Appalachian mountains, but Appalachian mountains. I'll put Himalayas. Yeah, that's what I put. Him, Himalayas. Okay, so this is a type of mountain. All right, and then not lastly, we have our third type of convergent boundary, because with convergent boundaries, there are three types of convergent boundaries. So now we're on our third convergent boundary, and this convergent boundary is ocean to ocean. So again, we're going to come over here and we're going to name this one oceanic, and we're going to name this one oceanic. And again, because we're still dealing with convergent boundaries, we're going to have our arrows coming towards one another. Oh, that's not real pretty at all, but they coming towards each other. And then we're going to type again. The plates are moving towards one another. All right, so the plates move toward one another. And then we're also going to put subduction also. And then we're going to give our example. All right, so make sure tonight that you guys continue to work on your homework 11 through 20. Make sure you guys continue to work on your homework 11 through 20. Now,